so the other part of your business in New York, it's hard to get back into this, but what percent? What do you? How big is that co-op? Like, what could you tell us a little bit about that co-op that you sell to? Maybe how you started selling to them.
The Park Slope Food Co-op in Brooklyn, it has a long history and a giant waiting list. They have 16,000 members, last I heard, with many thousands more hoping to get in when somebody opens a space. I went to visit them, and it was in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday when many people were at work, and it was shoulder to shoulder and hip to hip, and people were grabbing produce off the shelves like the governor had announced a state of emergency. It's a really busy store in a really densely populated place with lots of people who very much value fresh organic produce. So it's a marvelous place to be connected to, and we made that connection by being members to a growers cooperative, which went extinct, which folded about 10 years ago. The food distributor that had done deliveries for us for the food co-op, for the growers cooperative to the food co-op, they decided to take over the role that the cooperative had been performing and just make the sales and do the deliveries in one motion. So it simplified our lives. We actually got a 25% raise because the co-op wasn't taking 25% anymore. So it was a great thing, and I send little love letters to the food distributor still on a almost monthly basis, telling them how grateful we are for them and how we hope for their success every day.
Yeah. All right. Here's a good one. How has the landscape around here, your neighbors and such, changed since you got this farm 10 years ago, if at all?
The large dairy farms are cutting trees down to make more land. Some forests have disappeared in a kind of dramatic fashion. There's been a little building, residential construction. It seems to change very slowly here, so that any change at all is noteworthy. But we've noticed people building in farm fields. Solar development has arrived. We have 3 solar farms being constructed as we speak, right within a mile or 2 from where we sit. Some people are grumpy about this. They think that it's ruining farmland. I think it's fantastic. I won't be a NIMBY person, not in my backyard. I really welcome the diversification of our energy infrastructure and that we can have a role in it. I know some of our local dairy farmers who are having a really hard time making money selling milk and leasing their fields to solar developers are actually making some money, so they like it.
Yeah.
By the way, we only have really...
I can use my phone too.
No. We want to get out of here at 1:20. Probably give us 10 minutes to get some footage. So maybe 1 or 2 more questions. So pick out of the ones you have. Pick the ones that you want to ask the most.
Well, one that I didn't have on here, but that actually was interesting is deforestation in the North Country an area of concern for you?
Absolutely, yes. Trees are super important to a healthy ecosystem, and in 2017 I traveled as a USAID funded consultant to Mozambique to consult a group of vegetable farmers there on how to do better. And I thought I was going to be talking about seed varieties or fertilization regimes, but I arrived and I could see that they didn't have enough trees. They had cut, for a variety of good reasons, they had cut their forests to survive. But in doing so, they had made their Mediterranean climate work against them. It rains there for just a few months of the year, and without cover on the land, those seasonal rains just run off down the rivers and are gone. The land does not store moisture to support agriculture during the dry season. So they were really having a hard time, and I I tried to impress upon them how they should spend at least as much time planting new forests as tomatoes and onions. And the same could be true here. We have abundant natural rainfall currently, but we could mess ourselves up if we start slashing and burning like they do in some parts of the world.
Do you think that the quick expansion of a farm, I'm trying to think how to word this. Would you say that farms lose their soul as they expand?
Good question. No, I mean, you can lose your soul at any scale with any combination of technologies. It's really hard to be super pure in your ideals and also attain a middle class lifestyle. There's a farm in St. Lawrence County that is hardcore about being pure, and they don't have very much reach. They don't have a lot of reach. They don't make a lot of money. They don't connect with a lot of people. We perhaps, by using plastic mulch in the field, something this other farm doesn't do, plastic mulch to control weeds and increase soil temperature. By doing this one simple thing, we are less pure, but we're able to produce a lot more food, to connect with a lot more people, and have a greater influence. So it's a long, difficult discussion, but I think most of the people we know who observe us wouldn't say we've lost our soul. From that, and maybe the fact that we use tractors. I started farming with horses, trying to be pure, and sustainable, and it was extremely difficult to farm with horses. So now we're burning fossil fuels, not that much it turns out, but we do, and that's another chink in our pure armor, but we make a lot of food. So
Yeah.
doing it.
Do we have time for one more question?
One more question. I was thinking, like, so do you think that switch to a new technology is a necessary change? Like, or could you have progressed with your old farming techniques?
It's a really good question. I think the word sustainability gets used a lot in regards to agriculture, and most people want to define it as ecological sustainability. Are you polluting the land? Are you maintaining the ecosystem? That's important. That's one branch. But the other is financial sustainability. If you can live in poverty and call it good, then you can operate with a certain kind of technology, and you just call poverty sufficient. We weren't interested in doing that. So financial sustainability involved using technologies that allowed us to increase production and access different markets. The third one is personal sustainability. Can you psychologically tolerate the lifestyle of farming with horses, or with hand tools, or whatever low level of technology? We tried it for 8 years, and the answer was no. It was extremely stressful, very, very hard work. I often felt like I would finish the day feeling like I'd been in a fight, like people had been hitting me with pipes. I would fall asleep like a corpse. And I did that for 8 years and called it fun. I was athletic, and this was a challenge I would face. But at the end of that time, I said, this is madness. So adopting these new technologies has made the work physically easier. And quickly, the other thing is the workers that we've employed. We've hired all different types of workers. In our current crew, besides Evan's help, is men from Mexico with H-2A visas that come for 7 months each year to help. And they represent the largest reason why I feel that this work is sustainable. They are so skilled and steady in returning year after year to work with us that many of the difficulties that used to drive me crazy have disappeared, so that this farming business feels like a career I can sustain.
All right. The final question will be, speaking of that, what would you say overall in the North Country the worker distribution is, from local to workers from Mexico to workers from other parts of the country? If you had to hazard a guess, or
I think that dairy farms operate with a mixture. There's a certain group of jobs where Americans are very unwilling to do it. Sorting cattle, going in and out of the milking parlors, the milking itself, feeding, those jobs are offered to generally Latino workers. On orchards over in the Champlain Valley, it's mostly Jamaican workers, also with H-2A visas. But elsewhere in agriculture, especially veterinary work, herd manager work, machine operator, tractor driver, truck driver work, that would be local U.S. citizens. In the vegetable industry, there aren't many of us to speak of, but I would say that the majority of workers are U.S. citizens. We may be an exception here with foreign guest workers.
all right. Well, we really appreciate you doing this interview. We're here on Kent Farms in Lisbon, New York.
That's good. Nah, that